if you're still dealing with anxiety, if you're still dealing with procrastination, depression, ADHD, doubt, worry, inability to feel your body at a visceral level, to have a deep relationship with your body, this is all sign of a dysregulated nervous system. And in order to regulate your system, in order to really bring yourself out of fight or flight, out of survival, into a place where you can really start to feel comfortable in your body, where you can settle into the body, you've got to do daily practices. I don't think it's possible to do this without, unless you reach enlightenment through some miracle, or you have a crazy psychedelic trip that actually changes the rest of your life, which can happen. Mostly it never happens, annoyingly, but you hear stories of it happening. So if you're like most people, then if you're like almost everyone, then you have to find a daily practice of calming your nervous system down, calming your system down, quietening your mind, coming out of anxiety, coming out of the head and into the body, where you're going to have more experiences of grounding, depth, embodiment. But it may only last for the time that you do your exercise. So you do some grounding work, you do some embodiment work in the morning, maybe you do a bit of meditation, and it will, if you've not been doing it at all, it will feel horrible because it's boring to the mind that wants overstimulation, right? If you've been wired to seek stimulation, which most of us have through our phones and everything else, and our diets and just our general way of life, then doing grounding and embodiment exercises can be pretty boring. And so we'll do them, we won't necessarily feel good, and we'll give up because we think, that's not for us. And then we will continue to consume content that promises us to heal the things we're trying to heal, but we never quite do it because we're not prepared to put in the daily work to get there. And that's the trap I fell in for almost all of my journey on self-development. It's only really since starting doing these videos where I really had a consistent embodiment practice. I don't think it's a coincidence that I'm able to do these videos now without any anxiety, because I'm continuing the practice. These practices are powerful. They take you out of the head and have you have a visceral experience of your body. This is our natural state. We were embodied as kids, and we go up into our minds during sort of teens and into adulthood, and now we just exist up here. We're on our phones. It's drawing ourselves up into our heads, and then we try and navigate life through our head, through our thinking mind. We try and navigate relationships, try and navigate sex and business, and it's not designed for that. It's not what it's for. If you want to navigate life more confidently and feel good, you've got to come down into the body. It's the only way. But to come back to what I was saying, there's this point where you start to feel good doing embodiment practices. So if you can push through the boredom, the boredom. If you can push through that and keep going, and you get to a point where you can start feeling good doing the practices, then you're like, oh, okay. Now you're not going to avoid it quite so much. but there still might be some avoidance because it's maybe not as exhilarating as hundreds of videos, of short videos or whatever it is that you do. But you'll notice that the feelings you get from it, it's on a, it might not be of a high sensation, but it's more of like a deep peace. And the sensations can really feel quite nice as well. Like I was meditating last night and I was really getting this beautiful buzz over my whole body. It really I felt my body was so sensitive. Oh, it was a beautiful experience. I don't think I'd experienced it quite like that before. And now, okay, comparing it to like, if I feel into the part of me that's like addicted, right? It wants stimulation. I probably would choose a hit of weed or a hit of sugar over that. Not because it feels better, but because that's the wiring. It's the survival mode wiring. It's to seek high stimulation because that's what keeps us alive. When our survival mechanisms are running the show, we're only concerned about surviving. It's not about feeling good. That's why we do things that don't feel good, because on a level we think it's going to help us survive, but in actual fact it just makes us feel so much fucking worse. So then if you keep going with the feeling good in the practice, eventually that experience will be taken from the practice mat out into everyday life. And you do that not just by practicing on the mat during your time of practice, but by bringing the practices from the mat to everyday life. So you're not just doing your grounding and your embodiment when you're on the mat, you're doing it when you're going throughout life, when you're at work, when you're at home, when you're eating, when you're cooking, when you're cleaning, when you're brushing your teeth, having a shower. It's all an opportunity to come back to more presence. There's never a time you can't do it. So most people don't have a felt sense relationship with their body. That's why most people are anxious. I believe that because almost everyone I teach it to have never done it. It's like a thing that they experience for the first time. To connect with their body. It's a new thing for most people. Man, if we taught this shit at schools, wow, the world would be a different place. But yeah, I can talk to you now and I can feel my feet against the ground. I can feel my bum against this chair and I can feel gravity keeping me down. I can feel into my stomach, my belly. Now, most people will be able to, but it's only once you've done it long enough that you can really get a deeper experience of it. And that's when you start carrying a sense of embodiment throughout life without even trying. So you've got those 4 stages of development, right? You've got unconscious uncompetence. So you're unaware that you're shit. And that's most people. And then you got conscious uncompetence, and that's you become conscious of your your incompetence. So you become conscious that you're not very good at something because you try it out. Maybe you try embodiment or grounding or meditation, and now you're aware that it's not something you can do particularly easily. So then the next stage after enough practice is getting to conscious competence. Competence. Excuse me if I'm getting my words wrong, but you know what I mean. So you're conscious of the fact that you're confident at it. I'm getting lost with the words here. So you're just aware that you're good at something, but that requires effort, right? I'm aware that I'm good at something now, so you can be aware that you're good at grounding, at meditation, but it's taking your awareness. You're being aware of what you're doing. And then the fourth stage is unconscious competence, where you're just unaware that that's something you do well. You're good at it and you don't even know it. That's just how you do it. Now that's how we were as kids. We weren't aware that we were embodied. The word embodiment, I mean, I only discovered it a few years ago. It just wasn't a thing. That's who we were. And then we lost it. We lose it through storing emotions in our body. And pain and emotions get a bit too painful, we go up into our head, try and figure out how to avoid feeling these emotions. Parts start getting formed within our psyche that are literally there to stop us feeling. Literally. We all have them. It's like these programs that exist in our head, stop us from feeling our emotions. And in that we get iller and iller. Disease comes from unexpressed emotions, guys. Dis-ease. You can look it up. It's so well documented. For thousands of years, that's what healing was. It was expressing energy, getting energy out. Emotions is energy. So we had to get it all out to be healthy. You think of like tribes going around the fire, like stamping their feet, making sounds, ooh, ooh, whatever. I don't think they quite made those sounds, but you know what I'm saying. It's all getting energy out, and the more we can do that, the more we can come down into our body, we can occupy our body, we become more grounded. Then we can start opening. We can connect with people way more when we're grounded. I mean, again, we don't get taught this. I did a workshop last night on eye gazing. I had men and women come together and looking into each other's eyes. There was one guy who had a lot of nervous energy that prevented him from connecting with this very beautiful woman. And after a little bit of embodiment work, he was able to open up and drop down into his body where he could be himself more. And in that, the connection got tighter between the two of them. It's a really beautiful thing to see. It's like a magical unfolding. I mean, it's a if you imagine like a flower kind of represents the heart, right? And before the flower is fully opened, it's a bud, so it's closed. Now, the flower's bud, before it can open, it needs to send its roots down into the ground. It needs to find that safety within the ground, and then it can open up it can flourish, right? It can give us the art, the beauty. But until it's solid into the earth, it's not going to do that. It's the same with a tree. You look at a tree, there's not any trees around here, but you got to get the foundations down into the ground in order for the tree to really grow and not allow the weather to knock it over. These buildings, every building goes down deep into the ground first in order to have the structure of the building not collapse. We're no different. We're exactly the same. We need to get ourselves down into the ground, consciously, like into the ground. There's so many ways to do that. You can connect with the ground. You can connect with the ground as you go throughout life, like feel into it. You can bring the stillness of the ground into your body. Yeah, there's a lot that can be done to bring so much more calm, so much more stability to your life. You can really change your life in a short amount of time if you're prepared to put in the daily work. Hit me up if you're interested for coaching. I want to work with guys who are ready to put in the work, ready to really experience life from a more regulated place and enjoy all the experiences that come with it, because it's great. Thanks for watching.